Welcome back, everybody. We are here with game number 2, best of 3, number 2, iG.V taking on Sun Gaming for the ESL One Genting Qualifiers for China, joined by Drag and Drop, of course. The draft is pretty progressed. I had to take care of stuff.
Yeah, let's not get into that. Just gets too depressing, I guess.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this draft, actually. We saw the same opener Clockwork, then into the immediate Shadow Feed pick for Sun Gaming, just, again, to prevent these shenanigans. And then a few other heroes. Shadow Shaman in the hands of iG Vitality, Sinking, Ancient Apparition, Faceless Void. So a bit of a wombo combo already in the works of Sun Gaming. And now, iG Vitality. They already have some push. They have, of course, the Clockwork just being that nuisance, and now Brewmaster, one of the stronger offlaners in this patch, especially if he gets just a little bit of help, and also depending on the matchup. But mostly it's just all about the Drunken Haze spam. So unless you have some ways of zoning him out properly, that can be an issue for a lot of safe laners, including the Faceless Void if he does end up in that position. And also, like, with the Storm Spirit pick, we're in a similar situation to the first series of the day where you have limited lockdown potential up against that hero, right? It's basically only the Chronosphere, and in this game, I guess at least you have the Sand King with a Burst Strike as an initiation and just a way to keep the Storm Spirit and keep him from running all over you, essentially. Or running away from your initiation.
Yeah, some way to keep him locked down. So, Brewmaster, Shadow Shaman, decent pushing heroes. They've got tower taking ability. Clockwork seems like an odd one out in this game, though. A decent early game, but I struggle to see what kind of combination he has as you progress. And now the Razor comes out from iG.V. This time, we've got Cogs and Shackles to go along with a static link. But I still feel like I prefer Sun Gaming's opening. You know, we saw, like you were saying, the kind of Clockwork Shadow Fiend trade-off there between the two teams. But Void with Ancient Apparition, with Sand King, they've got very good, strong team fight abilities. And now you tie in the Luna with it, you've got some pushing power to go along with everything as well. Very strong mix of magical and physical damage for Sun Gaming. Whereas iG.V, it feels like they're pretty heavily reliant on that magic damage until the later portions of the game when Razor has managed to build up some items. I do worry for iG.V, though. This early laning stage with a Sand King AA roaming around and causing all sorts of chaos against a Clockwork Shadow Shaman who feel, weak and ineffective as a pairing.
Seems like iG Vitality, they're aiming towards this mid-game kind of play around the Brewmaster ultimate, the Storm Spirit having some amount of levels, and then everyone else kind of being able to stay alive and drag out these kind of team fights where it gets perhaps multiple usages of the Shadow Shaman Hex and Shackles and whatnot. You have the Clockwork just running about doing his thing, and yeah, I gotta wonder how successful that's going to be, especially considering that the last game that we saw, Sun Gaming, they have shown that they know how to play Dota. They know how to just behave and play against these kind of strategies that iG Vitality has thrown at them at the very least in last game. And this one, we're already talking about it. The wombo combo around the Chronosphere, now with the Luna. They have a much better, much easier time scaling into the late game, I feel like, just based on these very strong cores.
Yeah, I just don't see the natural synergy for the Radiant.
Yeah.
Like, usually you can see how teams can play off each other with certain heroes, how they can scale, how they can deal with their opponents. In this game, it just feels like everyone has to play above and beyond the norm. They have to go, they have to go insane across the board in every single position. Shadow Shaman needs early levels to get Serpent Wards to push towers. Clockwork needs an early level 6 to kind of activate the Storm and Razor to do damage. And Brew needs a fast blink to be able to get into team fights and disrupt things up. Whereas on the Dire side, they need to land a Chrono and an Ice Blast, and that could be the end of a fight, potentially.
Yeah. Even in the early game, right, you have the Sand King Ancient Apparition combo together with heroes that you can kind of leave alone, at least for a little bit. Like, Luna doesn't necessarily need a whole lot of babysitting. So it does free up these heroes to just roam together, have that Burst Strike into the Cold Feet, into the Chilling Touch, and all this follow-up. And that might just be enough.
For the Dire.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Okay. I thought for a second there that maybe Void could go and sneak another one, but Razor had already taken it.
Yeah. It's a little bugged on these.
Yeah, I was looking at my mini-map, and I wasn't looking at the screen. I was like, oh, Void's going to run to the bounty rune. But there isn't one there. That's a long static link. 26 damage drained away. Pretty decent. No one from the off-lane category is doing any of the pulling, which we really normally see quite often. So mid lane, Sand King SF against the Storm. Storm's going to have a pretty rough time. Clockwork will come in and try to help out. Gets a push back on the Shadow Fiend and a trap in on the Sand King, but Dogfights will trade some of his HP total for it, as Void down at bottom is against a Razor Shadow Shaman, so this lane, at least for the Radiant, should be a good one to begin with. But here we go again. Clockwork trapped in a cage that he's made for himself. Shadow Fiend gets a nice little soul from the cogs, which he brings down for a good measure, but it buys time for Storm to get some CS.
Certainly needs it, because we've seen this dance before in the very last game, right? Once Shadow Fiend gets a couple of levels, you can start erasing down the Clockwork if he's running at you. You can start securing more and more CS to fuel up the Necromastery, and at that point it becomes much harder for Stormsword to even contest the right clicks by themselves. So these first couple of minutes, very crucial for Stormsword to get ahead early. And so far he's on the right path, 8-2 to the 4-1. 9-2 now.
Dogfights. Back here on the AA, but Brewmaster is caught with a chilling touch and the cold feet. They need the body blocks from the Sand King, or do they? No. AA gets the first blood, and the Brewmaster gets taken down. I think I said Legion at some point in there, but just from last game, I see the purple name with all the dashes, and I think Legion Commander, but it's the Brewmaster indeed.
Sand King also stealing away the bounty rune, so now he's level 2. Brewmaster, well, he got that a little bit earlier. But no Drunken Brawler to help him out in that particular circumstance. It's, yeah, just top lane going as well as you would expect up against hero like that. Dogfights continuing to just try and work up against Sand King, but now with him being level 2, you also have the Cosmic Finale to help you trade a little bit more efficiently. I guess the big story is going to be down in the bottom lane here for Sun Gaming. As this Faceless Void gets off to a decently quick level 6, maybe we can start roaming around and set up for kills. Most likely either the Shadow Fiend, just setting up for a few raises and right clicks from the outside of the Chronosphere, or even the Luna. And if Link hits quick level 6 too, you have that Eclipse to look forward to and throw into that Chronosphere essentially.
The fact that Void hasn't died yet in this bot lane is something short of a miracle, honestly. They've got Static Link level 2, they've got Shackles, but unable to bring the Void down just yet. And he's getting a decent amount of experience here. The Static Link will finally arrive, forcing the Time Walk. Void is still getting his damage drained here. He doesn't have boots, and he's up against the Razor, who does. A little bit of a struggle there, but here we go. Sand King AA smoked and looking for action. This is likely going to be the second kill of a game. I don't see a way out of this, honestly, as they move themselves forward. They do have a sentry here watching for that Dire Observer ward, unable to clear it up just yet. As the Shadow Shaman hiding away in the eastern side, the smoke pops. Shadow Shaman goes for the TP. Sand King Burrow Strike out of range. He won't catch him. And Shadow Shaman's out of there.
Yeah.
Somehow escapes.
Very unfortunate. I mean, maybe they could have waited a little bit longer for the Static Link to come off cooldown, and maybe Void can draw the Razor in a little bit more like he did before. But Shaman actually still fighting here together with Dogfights. He TP'd the Shrine only. No, Burrow Strike not committed just yet. Now finds it on 2. Still, no immediate burst damage on a single target. Now, Shackles damage range should still be able to get Time Walk off, and he does. So no harm, no foul, and at the end you just have a quote-unquote wasted rotation. But at the same time you also force out the other heroes into that same area.
Nice TP from Clockwork will net him double bounty rune. Has been pinged out here, it looks like. Sand King not too happy with Dogfight stealing away the runes from him. Luna left alone now against the Brewmaster does buy a lot of space for the Brew to get close to that level 6. But the wraparound is coming. Ancient Apparition and Sand King ready to battle yet again. Not revealed just yet by the creep wave in this nighttime as they get the long wrap in onto Clockwork. There's the cold feet onto Brew, not chained perfectly. Dogfights is the one that's Burrow struck and killed off. In the meantime, Shadow Fiend gets a solo kill on Storm. Not really that unexpected with the Razors being so strong now against the Storm Spirit, but faded. Seems like he outplayed the Storm there.
Yeah, maybe it's just not being completely used yet to the new stacking damage of the Razors. Maybe got caught out by... did the math a little bit incorrectly. The level 6 on Storm means you don't have that panic button, the panic way out of there, so...
It's like close to 500 damage now with the level 3 Razors as well.
It is kind of crazy, and Stormspirit dying, and all of a sudden this mid lane already goes the other direction, right? 28 and 16 on the Shadow Fiend. With a 27 and 6 from the Storm, who's already forced into the jungle. That's being contested, yeah.
AA all the way around. Storm in a lot of trouble.
Perfect timing too.
I don't have enough damage to like finish him off, but they'll definitely annoy him. As he's trying to like scout out, is anyone up here? Is anyone up here? He's going to see definitely that experience is being leached away from him. And they'll start things off now. He's taking a bit extra damage from the creep camp as the cold feet comes through, and Shadow Fiend will get the final hit. Clockwork now might be in a spot of bother as he's chased by the Shadow Fiend, the taunt from dogfights, but they have a burrow strike. The Razors will land, and Faded gets a double.
Yeah, I mean, can certainly expect these kind of rotations, especially if you don't see the Ancient Apparition or the Sanking anywhere. They try to go on top, but Luna barely surviving now with the TP through from the Faceless Void. Even no level 6 in him just yet, but the Razors as well from Faded. They want revenge and they get it.
The
for
body
down
blocks
Luna
from
so
Void, so good.
Yeah. Who needs Chronos Fears, right? If you can just slow them down with your own hero.
So now Shadow Fiend is what, 3-0-1, 36 and 20. This Radiant draft, early game-wise, starting to fall apart. Brewmaster closing in on level 6. Very important for him to get that. He's going to TP mid, though. Look for some action here with the Shadow Shaman. Very unusual movement towards this mid lane, but if they can get a kill on the SF, it will all be worth it. But nothing's really happening.
I was trying to outnumber him, but Faded, as long as he's hugging the tower, should be absolutely fine. He realizes too that he's maybe not as safe if he goes too far forward. The dire scan will even confirm that he is scouting out dogfights for a second. So Shadow Fiend still right on track. The only lane that's going very well so far, still the bottom with Razor. 0-0-0, but a lot of last hits under his belt, especially with Faceless Void making these rotations. Yeah. And the question is, what can this Razor really do in this kind of a game?
That's the thing, right, is the lack of overwhelming synergy between their heroes. It felt like laning phase had to go well for them. It felt like they needed to get that early advantage, push forward, and start 5-manning early with Brewmaster ulti, with this, or even 4-manning with the Razor able to fight while Storm split pushes farms and applies pressure on the map. But it just hasn't happened. Now they're aggressively trying to push the issue. Luna will back away, and there's just no catch happening with Void arriving. This could be a big turnaround. A 2-man Chrono is perfect, and they've got the Eclipse into Burrow Strike from Sand King. It's just, they're dead. There's no coming back from that.
Yeah. They tried to make that exact play. I mean, smoking up here, Brewmaster level 6, so yeah, let's try and find something, but they've been scouted instantly. TP from the Faceless Void, so very good shot calling there as well, realizing, hey, there's an opportunity here, just turn this around on them, and then put on some pressure on the tower. Early extra points here into the Lunar Blessing to help that along as well, to make last hitting a little bit easier, I guess.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And, well, IG Vitality, they need to find something going their way soon. Or else they'll just, like, not find a foothold at all in this game. They still have the Brewmaster ultimate, so maybe that's something. But if they cannot find a good usage of that sooner rather than later, then might just come out at a time where Sun Gaming are already too far ahead and just feels underwhelming.
Storm is doing a decent job kind of catching up back in the jungle, but it's still a long road to go. 3.3k net worth, barely ahead of the Void. Then you look at the Brew sitting at 2,000, very, very far behind, but he has hit level 6. Razor's here to pressure top tier 1. Sand King is going to try and hold them back with Clockwork arriving. He misses his Burrow Strike, but he is inside of the creep wave. And the Battery Assault won't be able to land in onto him, and I don't think they've got any reveal to show his whereabouts, so the Sand King will be fine. They'll try and get some damage in onto the tier 1 top, but I don't think the Dire really care. They've got Luna farming stacks in the jungle, Ancient Apparition and Sand King both closing in on level 6, and that's when they become infinitely stronger. And then Void is free farming bot lane. There's no one stopping him. No, the Shadow Shaman's gone. The Storm Spirit's farming jungle. Razor and Brew are both top. It's just awkward from iG.V. Maybe now with this, no, Sand King burst strikes away, and no hook shot from Clock means that he's perfectly safe to back up to the shrine. Sun Gaming just have their foot in the door. Like the victory is within sight, and it's only 10 minutes into this game.
Yeah. Maybe now there's an Invis rune on Shadow Shaman. Not pulling the trigger. Now he sees the Luna as well as the Sand King in this general area. Can't really go in on this anymore. Especially with the limited amount of mana on the Storm Spirit. Like, maybe if you have a Soul Ring or something that just pushes you over the edge, gives yourself that extra bit of distance, that one extra static remnant. But they've not been able to really get anything off of that lucky rune find. And yeah, as a result, Sun Gaming, they just chill, do whatever they want, get the items that they need. Yield Scepter now on the way for Shadow Fiend. Certainly not pressured into a BKB this game, at least not early.
Yeah, Razor does spot out the Sand King though, and I believe he knows the Sand King warded nearby. They watched him come all the way in, and they'll come straight forward. No sentries available just yet. But Dire Team eyeing for some kind of play down in the bottom lane. They see the clockwork, they know the Razor is off to the west, and this should be an initiation in onto dogfights, but it's him who starts things off with the cogs on the SF. The Chrono will land, baited out a little bit by that TP. They'll find the clockwork kill with the Void catching up. A Brewmaster ulti does arrive, but who can they find? The Shadow Fiend sprinting away with the drums already popped. He'll get found with the Cyclone there. Now Razor has to get the static link in, but the rest of the team's arriving from the Dire. Luna comes forward, Requiem wound and killed the epicenter onto Razor. This will be great for them. The Lucent Beams are spammed out as well from that Eclipse, and Brew's ulti ending at exactly the wrong time means that his death was inevitable.
This is exactly what I was worried about. Stormsword comes in though, trying to turn this around, gets burst struck up, a couple of right clicks here, another zap out. Oh, one right click, not gonna be enough, and the Lucent Beam.
God.
Not to finish him. I was just...
Luna's forced down,
no.
pushing the SF away from that remnant.
Yeah.
And the 4-man shrine.
It just feels so good every single time when you get such value out of that usage, especially after getting the free kill fed into you. Almost already feels like a desperation play from the Storm, saying like, hey, they're all so low, I can try and get some kills, I can get us back into it, but not realizing or not doing the math properly, and then realizing, alright, maybe you're not strong enough to do that just yet.
0-12. 0-12!
Yeah, this is certainly not what we expected. Storm trying again down bottom, this time on the Ancient Apparition.
He still can't get a
another
kill.
4-star.
He just cannot do it. Now, Sand King, Forest Strike in, Ice Blast, and Razor's gone. The Radiant are just falling apart. Honestly, this is a tilt fest.
Yeah.
Although, if they get some of these kills, there's lots of bounties to be had, right?
It's a pinata thread, you know?
504, 405, 202. If they get the SF or the Luna, maybe even the Void, it's a lot of gold going into their pockets, but catching those heroes is
a big
so
if at this point.
Like, Luna 4-staff, Shadow Fiend's going to have Yule soon. They are difficult heroes to bring down.
So you do have the Clockwork Hookshot available at the very least, with the Battery Assault. I mean, if you do catch the Luna with that, kind of isolated, but then again, you already have the 4-staff, so you have to wait that out. So hard. Maybe like in the back of the team fight here with the 4-staff on cooldown, you can isolate the Luna, and then the Battery Assault makes it very, very hard indeed to actually do anything to do right clicks or Lucent Beams or whatever. But it's, again, big ifs all the way around, and, well, there is support on anyone that's Clockwork is going for, then it's different entirely. The epicenter being channeled out. Is he surviving this? No, not quite. Dogfights will be the trade. He could have easily walked out of that, though, right?
Well, that's worth it for the Clockwork,
absolutely.
for sure. And a cheeky little play from the Sand King, though. Great, I've got to say, great 4-staffs out from this Luna, time and time again. Luna doing an amazing job keeping his teammates alive as the Chrono want to brew with Ice Blast coming off cooldown. I'm not sure if they have the... Oh, they do have the damage. Where did that come from? Cold Feet and Chilling Touch. Oh.
And a quick raise as well from Fader to make sure. That's exactly what I was worried about. Brewmaster not able to find anything really with these ultimate. I've only seen it like once That turned into disaster.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Storm, what are you doing? You're chasing this void, but yeah, I'm not sure about this. The time walk away will buy some time. The time dilation comes out as well. The Ice Blast gonna land in here as Void has another time walk to jump away from all of this damage, TPing back the battery assault, and the cogs will catch him though, and it will finally be a kill for the Radiant. 2 to 15 now as Void takes a tumble, but the rest of his team, they're farming away. They don't really care too much. Pressuring bot, tier 1. Luna's there with a full Hurricane Pike. SF has the Yules and a level 2 Requiem. These Radiant heroes really cannot withstand that kind of damage.
Took them so long to kill that Void, and that's the one core of the Sun Gaming have that isn't sitting on a ridiculous killing spree. So it's... you still take whatever you can get, certainly in this kind of position, but it feels like a cold drop of water on a very hot stone indeed. I don't know, does it actually exist? That's saying, does it exist in English?
A drop of a cold, what do you say again?
A drop of water on a hot stone?
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Oh well.
Usually we say a drop of water in an ocean.
Oh yeah. But yeah, basically the idea is, it is something...
meaningless.
But it's the right idea, yeah, water to just cool down something, but ultimately it is futile because it's too little. Now, with the Shadow Shaman Walls, everything being committed, even the Brewmaster ultimate, but they only miss out on the kill, and might even miss out on the tower if they can get the deny off here between the catapult.
I thought Carty had it.
Yeah, he normally does, to be fair, but not this time. Certainly the right call there for iG.V to just bail out of there immediately. Cannot really fight. Stormsword at the very least at 7k next to his Razor. Starting to go straight into the Bloodstone by the looks of it. Needs another couple hundred gold for the Vid booster.
I'll take your treatment.
Is that the right decision here? Do you have to commit for that, or is it just going to be one of these things where you get the Bloodstone and then die immediately anyway?
Yeah, it's going to be a coin toss thing, right? You know, we see it with Storm, we see it with Lina. Getting that Bloodstone, it helps you farm, it helps you scale, and it helps you push forward. But with the Chrono on bottom, Razor unable really to progress in this game as he's caught by not one, not two, but 3 ultis in a row, and he will take a fall. But yeah, it depends. If Storm is able to pull some magic out of his hat, then this Bloodstone could, you know, manipulate the game and get them a little bit of a snowball going. But it's going to be a difficult road for them.
Could pick himself up some bounty runes perhaps, or farm up the stack with the golems in the middle of that. Feels bad, man, for any sort of storm. But anyway, speaking of golems, Luna's doing the same thing on the other side of the map with the big old rock golems in the ancient camp. So Blink sitting 9.5k, same as the Shadow Fiend really. They have the yields, they're starting to go into these BKBs. And that'll be the point where you say, alright, what can you actually do against us now when you walk into with these 10 seconds of magic immunity? The answer is not a lot. I mean, you have the Razor with the static link to maybe turn into a damage dealer, but for that to work you have to survive long enough.
Yeah, it does seem key here for the Radiant. I think survival's the right word. Hit the nail on the head there. If they can survive, if they can survive through the team fight and get full value out of like Brew ulti, full value out of multiple ball lightnings from Storm Spirit, cogs and rocket flares just have to be spammed out over and over again, getting cycles out of their spells, very important for them. This Roshan attempt though, the smoke, if it pops from the Radiant, they'll know it's happening, but they're walking straight past it. They have no idea. Dragon Drop, they don't know what's going on.
Oh,
they move to
such
push
a big
top,
play.
Sanking an AA though. Wrapping around from the south side. Roshan, what's the HP status? Down to about a quarter now. Are they moving forward? Sanking still has no idea they're inside. And Roshan will fall. The Radiant get it done. Sneaking Aegis, giving it to Storm, and this could be what they've been waiting for until the big burrow into Ice Blast. They've caught the support with their Brew ulti and Shackles, but that is not going to be value. Efficiency lost as the Ancient Apparition looking to TP away until the ball lightning comes through. Cyclone not available in time. An Ancient Apparition counts his lucky stars that he gets out.
They saw Razor walk into the pit with that Observer Ward that they had in mid, I believe. But they didn't actually choose to go in with a Burrow Strike and see what they can see. They were a little bit too strung out, I guess.
Yeah, once they taken top tier 1, they'd all TP'd back down towards bottom lane to farm and get that efficiency going. So unfortunate for the Dire, but a good boost there for the Radiant.
Yeah.
As they've got 15 Bloodstone charges on Storm now, and this could lead to some good things for iG.V.
Especially with the Aegis, and arguably one of the best Aegis carriers in the game. Stormspirit, you can just go in, expend your entire mana pool. There it is. Find the hookshot. Clockwork though, he's the one who's dying. But they do... oh, not exactly. That was the actual Shadow Fiend. Clicked on one hero. Shadow Shaman will be betrayed a little bit too far forward. Oh yeah, but these kind of trades are certainly very much in favor of iG.V, right? Bringing down the big pinata. That's the first step for the Shadow Fiend. A lot of gold towards that Razor in particular.
SF way too far ahead. No BKB. No teammates in sight. Dire team maybe a little bit tilted that they lost out on Roshan because it was very systematic. You know, they take down tier 1s, they take down these buildings, they try and pressure. But they didn't get tier 1 top, they didn't get tier 1 mid, they didn't get Roshan, which was meant to be like the next objective on the list, that they'd get one after the other, but Epicenter being channeled up, the TP was cancelled. Baited out there, I think, a little bit, the Sand King, now the Luna caught, as Storm tries to get into action, but the Void jumps forward, no Chrono, the Eclipse is wasted, they can't kill anyone off just yet, and Brew turns with the Drunken Haze, the Blink Clap. Still waiting for the initiation from the Sand King to jump in onto the Storm, but the Aegis is there, the Chrono onto 2, the target's in the back, Clockwork will land, the Luna is caught, and with no Force Staff available, she'll have to walk this one off, with no cogs available. Still a great play by the Radiant to catch out the Void as he's saved by the Sand King. Jump out with a Time Warp, now Sand King chased down by Clockwork. Everyone's running. Leaves to the wind, dancing around in these gusts of aggression as Sand King finally burrow strikes back away from the rest of the Radiant as no one dies.
Yeah, I actually can't believe... actually can't believe that.
No one dies.
They wait... what does it say about this game? Like, they waste 2 ultimates, they still fight, which, like, according to the Book of Dota, is a really bad decision, right? But then they still get away, but this time they have the dust for the Sand King, so Stormspirit adds another soul to the tally, and as the situation winds down, makes it a little bit more useful there for
Radiant are coming back, though.
But yeah, they are. They certainly are. They've stopped the bleeding at the very least. I mean, the gold advantage been hovering around this 5k mark for quite a few minutes now.
1 minute 40 left on Aegis. That's the important timer to remember. Storm has been playing, you know, incredibly aggressively in the past couple of minutes just because he has that second life, the backup plan. Nice little safety net as Luna BKB is ready, and this could be the turning point just to swing things back around again, but she's jumped, hexed, and caught. Shackles are there, and the hook shot into the back. iG.V, they're doing this perfectly, but now the BKB, the Aegis finally popped, the Luna will escape as the Cyclone onto SF, the Yule's not there, but still holds on to it, does have the Requiem level 2, so could think about jumping in aggressively as Brew is very far forward, zipping forward. Storm Spirit gets found in the very back end, and now, the Cyclones. SF permanently in the air, blinks forward, looks at the raise, but the Hex is there from Shadow Shaman. Shackles back, but will lose his life for it up in the front lines. With this Storm Spirit not available anymore, the Epicenter gets taken down by the Storm arriving, Requiem wound and taken out. One hero. Dogfight falls, but iG.V forced to back away with the BKB of Razor now gone. The chase could come forward. Chrono ready, the dust is popped, the Void jumps in, the Chrono misses! No!
Not again!
Scan on top of scan will not give any information to either team. That was close. They were spam pinging. They knew it was coming. The dust was there, but the 2-man Chrono lined up perfectly until the spread, the split, the ball lightning out. And the Dire team got to be kicking themselves.
What is this game? Like, certainly, yeah, if Dire wasn't wasting half their ultimates here in the last 5 minutes, this game would be looking differently. As it stands, I mean, iG.V, they have their own fair share of throws. Stormspirit goes in there after the Aegis, way too deep without support, really trying to finish off this Luna. Unable to do so here with the Burst Strike again, interrupting and losing his life. He does respond very quickly to the Bloodstone, TP's in with long zip, re-enters the fight. Here's the BKB shown off by the Razor for the first time, and they do get the Shadow Fiend, which is the big one, but Luna, throughout all that surviving, still 6-0-6 on Blink. the BKB, complete Hurricane Pike. Now, Manta Star flying out, one would think, but okay. Poke shot, into burst strike out. Stormspirit does find the ancient apparition. And now the Eclipse, BKB, they want some revenge and they get it on dogfights. Also cleaning through some of these Brewlings. Triple A throws on whatever spells he can. The Shackle's immediately interrupted, so he's the next one down the drain. Faded has to deal with the Razor. Meanwhile, Luna will one up against Stormspirit as well as the Earth Panda. And this time, Blink will lose his life. Castle's Curse once again, I do apologize. But 2-for-2 trade in the end. Stormspirit refueling his Bloodstone.
Void up at top farming away. You know, he's got no chrono, so the Dire team fighting there without him thought they could maybe turn that with a good Eclipse, and with this Sand King doing so much work. And now Epicenter, Blink Burrow lands. No BKB from the Razor. The Razors from the Shadow Fiend start to land, but it does force the Black King Bar. That magic immunity gets him back to safety, so one charge down. Again from Razor as he waits for the Ice Blast Shatter to dissipate before picking up the regen.
So crucial to whittle down these BKBs.
It's been so good from the Radiant though, the way they're fighting, the way they took that Aegis, they fight around it, they make sure that this lead from the Dire team, you know, we were looking at about 6,000 net worth, experience looking around 10k or so, 9,000 lead for the Dire, has been whittled away at now 10 to 22, which was what, like 4 to 18 or something. They've come back pretty nicely in kills. It's still very weird to think about how they progress from here, though, right? They fought well around the Aegis, but the Dire team still has this big, overwhelming wombo combo that they can bring to the table. And once they get this Luna the Butterfly, it's going to be very difficult to bring her down, but you've got to look to this brew now with Blink Midas, nearly the relic for Radiance. If he can get a good ulti out, get some good Cyclones and good chase in onto the heroes on the back lines, even just cancelling a Sand King Blink stun, he can do a lot to disrupt these team fights.
Same time, also looking at the Shadow Fiend. BKB now in his inventory. Faded hasn't had to use it just yet. It's still fresh at 10 seconds. Now the smoking up behind the Luna, trying to bait something out here in this middle lane.
Smoke's gonna pop. Sand King. Oh, is he gonna know?
The rocket
up on the
flying
high
about.
ground.
That is used into the ultimate on the low ground. Dogfight's actually hookshotting up to the front. Now the damage is being drained here from Shadow Fiend. Bit of an issue, but great chrono in the back. Luna dealing with some of these Brewlings. But it's down to face forward. Long zip across. Now the Razors do so much work here, and finally they are starting to drop one by one Stormspirit. No chance but to try and get out. Same for the Brewmaster with the Blink, but well, there's some Blinks as well on the side of the Dire, not the Eclipse. Not even used until just now. Brewmaster almost dead. That is now. Stormspirit tried. What?
Clockwork spam pinging the SF. Like, how did he survive? I'm incredulous as well. Stormspirit gets a kill at least on the AA. But Storm there zipped it onto SF. Would have died if he stood on top of him to get the last hit because of the Requiem on death. But man, oh man, Shadow Fiend so fortunate to get away from there. I've got to say, as soon as the SF cast those Razors, I looked at the talents. The Spell Amp, the Shadow Raise damage, just a double raise took the Razor down from like 70% HP down to like 30 or 40 as Luna. Oh dear, Hurricane Pike back into the Roche Pit, but Storm with this Orchid doing so much damage gets yet another kill up to an unstoppable streak. 8, 4, and 3. 18 Bloodstone charges, and very, very weird position there from the Luna. All alone in that northwestern corner of the map with no BKB and no TP.
Gotta wonder what Blink was doing there. Caught out all by himself like that with no BKB. Hurricane Pike, not enough. But it's alright. It's just one of these things where you just take a big team fight, then you just go think about what you want to farm next instead of what the positioning is and how strong the Stormspirit actually has become. He's sitting at 15.5k net worth, does have the Kaya, does have 18 Bloodstone charges now, as we've just seen. The Orchid coming into play, Shieldless Guard next on the list. So he's certainly the saving grace right now for IG Vitality to create that chaos, to pick off the backline, to also try and buy time for the Razor as well, to get max value out of that BKBs, fuel up himself with the static link.
It's like this domino effect, right? Brew has to create space for the Storm, who has to create space for the Razor. And then there's the Clockwork and Shadow Shaman, who, you know, basically just throw their spells in and that's a long zip, Storm. Nearly catching Sand King. Whereas for the Dire team, they don't need that back and forth where one guy is like, you know, if one guy doesn't do his job, then the next guy fails. Because they have things like this, the 3-man chrono into Ice Blast. It just all ties together one by one. They go in, the Burrow Strike into Requiem, and this is a disaster from the Radiant. Brew gets his ultimate off, the Storm jumps in, but the time dilation's there. Sand King's caught and killed, but there's still a Dire team coming out on top as the BKB from Luna clears up yet another. Roshan's falling very low with the Storm jumping in, looking to say, oh, he's bashed! He's bashed by Roshan! RNG'd off the face of the map. I mean, I'd call GG at this point. Oh, that would piss me off so much. Luna gets the Aegis Cheese. Storm out of mana but gets the TP away until the Yules arrives. SF cancels and kills. Faded on a mega kill streak, and iG.V, tears in their eyes as this fight was not what they wanted.
It certainly wasn't, Gareth. It certainly wasn't, but going for Roshan, knowing that there is this wombo combo always a threat here. That's what they drafted for. You were just saying it. And then fighting around this arrow that is a natural choke point really worked into Sun Gaming's favor, to say the very least. And well, how do you recover from this? I mean, we're right back to where we were before, around the 6k gold lead, and it certainly seems like the momentum is in their favor. At the same time, Chronosphere is on cooldown, all the other ultimates are as well. Maybe that's something that IG Vitality can take advantage of, but we already see Sun Gaming in a very defensive position.
That's the trouble, right? Against a lineup like this, there is no quote-unquote recovery from fighting against the wombo. We so often talk about, you know, wombo combo lineups that go behind. Their recovery mechanism is to get their wombo combo off, to win one team fight with all of their huge ultimates. But you don't see that from the Radiant. They don't have that cohesion, the chaining of abilities. It is just a big hot mess of a draft.
Yeah. Smoke now to secure the Radiant side jungle, and it is IG Vitality once again stuck in their own base. This time without Tinker to try and keep them away. The Burn Strike in, they want to try and go on dogfights. Meanwhile, Chronosphere actually catches the Stone Spirit in the back. They have the extra damage with the Eclipse. Meanwhile, Shadow Fiend in the front trying to do what he can. Does not quite get his ultimate off to the hookshot. Or maybe he did. Either way, trying to go for the retreat.
Luna BKB forced here as Razor tries to run away. The Clockwork does get caught, but now it's the Dire in trouble. No Chrono, no big ultis left for the Dire team. They're going to lose the Aegis on the Luna here. Still has the cheese, but Storm Spirit's done a lot of work here. Kill the Sand King and the AAs. The Shadow Fiend falls, and the Brewmaster sprints forward. The Dire team are trying to throw back as much as they can. What is happening, honestly?
For once, they're able to out-sustain these ultimates, but also only because of that buyback on Stormfoot. He tanked the Chronosphere alone, as well as the entire Eclipse. That was an axe close, by the way. We haven't talked about that yet on Blink, but I really love it this game because he doesn't rely on him being next to the Chronosphere on the right side to be able to get the Eclipse damage in. You can just throw it out ahead of yourself and provide that extra bit of burst. So that's exactly what happened there, but then you don't have that big control for the other hero. Storm, the one here that you kill with that combo, buys back and turns the fight around. But the question is, can they repeat that, and can they get enough momentum here to offset this buyback cost? Because
that's the thing, right? That's the thing, because Storm, how long do you have until buyback? 6 minutes, 35 seconds. How long do you have until every ulti is ready from the Dire team? 18 seconds for Chrono, 10 seconds for Requiem. The Dire are ready to cycle through their spells again. They are ready to team fight again, potentially. Cheese was not wasted by the Luna, so that's still available. So the Dire team, if they kill Storm, potentially they win the game.
The Hex, Shadow Shaman, confront on Glimmercape, keeping them safe for the time being. There is another Chronosphere. They get one. They get the Razor in the end as well. Stormspirit comes in, try and turn around. They do finish off the Sand King with the Cogs push back as well. Brewmaster trying to finish up the Ancient Apparition. Very easy targets, but now, meanwhile, in front, Luna eats Chase, trying to stay alive, but the rest of his team unable to provide that help.
That's pretty sick. Spirit Vessel against Cheese, hard counted.
Pretty much, yeah. He ate it. I heard the sound, but Luna not back up to full.
70% of the value of Cheese removed. That's pretty cool.
I haven't seen that before, but certainly a big factor in this particular fight.
I mean, Luna's probably sitting there, like, you could feel it, right? Luna's sitting there thinking, right, I've got Cheese, I'll wait until I'm down to, you know, like 10% HP, pop the Cheese, and I'm fine. But Dogfight's put that Spirit Vessel onto, or the Soul Release, sorry, is the name of the active of the Spirit Vessel, onto the Luna. And that meant that Cheese, what's 70% of whatever Cheese gives? Like 3k?
1500?
Is it 2k HP?
I think 2k HP, 1500 mana or 1000 mana, something like that.
I thought it was more mana.
It put him up to maybe 1000 HP max instead of full. So something like that.
I'm going to Google this and get my calculator out, you know?
Alright. Gotta do the math.
Because, like, right, so Cheese. Yeah, 2515.
Yeah. Okay.
So we. Yeah, okay. So what's 70% of 2500 drag and drop?
Stupendous.
I stopped doing math on stream a long time ago, dude.
Oh, that's tragic, actually.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a time when I could have told you.
Oh, yeah.
There's not this time.
Oh, yeah. It's not good anyway. And it's not 75% anyway, it's 70%.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
Yeah. What a huge thing. Yeah, there we go. I can't open my calculator because my Windows key doesn't work.
1750 that you're missing out on.
Damn.
That's quite a lot. Just imagine, like...
But hang on, so you're only getting 750?
1750 are you missing out, so you're only getting 750.
Yeah, you're only getting 750.
So just imagine a nuke that does 1750 damage. That's basically the equivalent.
Not bad, Spirit Vessel, not bad.
Yeah.
Whew.
Good item.
21 to 33. No racks have fallen. Storm Spirit now has Shiva's Guard and is going towards the Bloodstone. Level 25 hit, so you see the chain of remnants going through the Radiant jungle. Dire team with their ultimates back up again. They need to find a team fight to jump in and kill whoever they can while this Storm buyback is still on cooldown. That is the key factor here for the Dire team. Is if Storm is dead, they can win.
It's kind of a miracle that iG.V has been able to push it this far. Just gold graph almost at the 0 line, but even the advantage they have. Okay, hold that thought, pull shot in. It's fine, the Shadow Fiend pops the BKB, Yules into ultimate, just turn things around onto Clockwork. Meanwhile, Bruma's ult in the back here, trying to get the Sanking away, so no burrow strikes in this particular fight, at least not for a while. Faded, cannot even make it to the shrine. There's a Chronosphere, but it doesn't actually have the power, it doesn't have the damage inside until the Eclipse comes through from across the map. BKB the balloon and it'll expire in a second, but no more mana on the Storm Spirit, so now Blink with the advantage in this man fight.
I don't know about that. Brewmaster with the Drunken Haze is like, yeah, what up?
Everyone else so low, so it's only Blink. Sanking its first strike out, but plenty of mana has been reaching for Storm to get that particular snipe.
His Luna
has to recharge in base, he cannot help either. He's being burned down slowly by the Radiance as well as the Storm Spirit.
What's happening?
I don't even know.
Void again with a one-man. He wanted Storm and Razor. They're so close to getting it, but man, oh man, this Brew with the Midas into the Radiance, the Mischance coming into play, the Shadow Fiend, you know, with no Force Staff on him, he BKB'd up and killed the Clockwork, but couldn't get out of the cogs in time, and when he did, he was so low that Storm just zips on him and finishes him off. This iG.V lineup has somehow, from the brink of destruction, are now taking the first tier 3 in this game. Void will move forward with his BKB, but the Ice Blast, Storm chased away from that hit. What a mess of a game.
Yeah. It all comes down to them actually being pulled apart in the wrong way. Like, they are being initiated on, and then a very awkward angle where they don't have time to really figure out, alright, this is the way that we need to take this team fight. You don't have time to think in these circumstances because hookshot comes in, alright, BKB, Yules, but at the same time, Brewmaster blinks to the backlines, goes for his ultimate, right? All this chaos, you don't even have all your tools available, right? Sanking was forced out immediately, so no burrow strikes, shenanigans, at least very easily to turn things around. Shadow Fiend still dropped very, very low. Then the Chronosphere came way too late. They still got the one kill with the combo, but it's not enough at this point. Not if half your team's already dead or dying.
It's kind of cool thinking about the way that this game has progressed as well. It's not just about how the Radiant are taking team fights, but it's also how they've been dodging them as well, right?
Yeah.
Moving away from the smokes of the Dire team, realizing when they are under pressure of being initiated on and making sure that they don't get hit by these big Chronospheres, and now using the Brew ulti and the Serpent Walls to proxy push and make sure they lose out on nothing as they push tier 2 at the same time middle. Dire in a tough spot, but it's not all doom and gloom. Again, we were talking about this 20 minutes ago, right? What's the way for the Radiant to come back, and what do they have to do some amazing things? Honestly, I can't put my finger on it. It's just this indescribable fact that they've managed to dodge every smoke. They've managed to get away from big chronos. The Void has maybe misstepped and misplayed. They've put forward the wrong heroes. Like, you kind of expect Luna to be the one on the front lines, pushing and pressuring with people behind her to react and play around. But SF getting jumped by hookshot cogs. AA and Sandking getting caught by this Storm Spirit, who is doing an amazing job at finding these disruptive heroes in the back lines that amplify and do a lot of damage in teamfights from the support position. But it's also because the Radiant have done an amazing job with this Brewmaster ulti.
Oh yeah.
Cycloning and hunting and using Drunken Haze with his main hero. The Radiance with the mischance has done a great amount of work. But now it's the Dire's turn to come back.
Yeah.
They're the ones at a deficit. They still have the wombo combo. If they find one good fight, they can go and push high ground. They can find the racks they've been waiting for. And they know that mid-tier 2 still being up means that the rest of their buildings are relatively safe. They're not afraid of people pushing in top lane. So pushing bottom now is a good way to start, but I worry about Roshan being open to the Radiant.
Do like how Face's voice going more into extra damage. He realizes, all right, we need more than that. We can't just rely on this one gimmick here with the Axe Eclipse. He needs some damage of his own to just try and help out and try and offset some of the disadvantages, even if you do end up dropping one core or having like the Shadow Fiend or the Luna forced out of the fight because they're so low. So he goes for the MKB, very cost-efficient item. Like, you already have, like, attack speed helps you with getting more time block procs, and then the extra 75 chance to do an extra 100 pure damage. Very valid for him, but Nemo Storm Spirit gets himself a free kill.
Oh,
And Luna caught after the 4-stab here. Can him get out of the cogs. And there's the Brewmaster ultimate. BKB still enough to keep him alive for now. This Chronos here once again only a single hero. Storm Spirit doesn't care, just steps across. Luna falls. 2 on the sidelines. 1-for-1 trade here with the Clockwork. Actually, he does drop to the Void, but
Sandking has no buyback.
oh no, look at this. Another Orchid. It's gonna bring down the Void. Not that it matters. Chronosphere and cooldown anyway, but there's Storm Spirit redeeming himself, putting his team on his back. That is Blink Yules. Maybe, maybe not.
He wouldn't have had enough damage to kill him. 2,000 HP. SF, if he stood there and ulted, he would have likely lost his life. Somehow iG.V have come back into this, but again, a one-man chrono just not going to cut it. The Void has slipped up too many times. Sure enough, a lot of the pressure is on him. You know, it's a lot on his back to land these chronos, but it's not just him, right? It's about the team putting themselves in a position where he needs to land a 5-man chrono onto 5 heroes that are spread out too much. They're not baiting, they're not playing around, they're not bouncing off each other enough. Ulti onto Brewmaster here from the SF is going to do a good amount of damage, but it's never going to be enough. Faded is going to drop here to the Razor, potentially. The Storm sips forward. Luna finally BKBs and runs forward. Might be able to bring down the Razor, but it's the Storm in the background. Still picking off one by one, regenerating enough mana as the Epicenter. Who yields them up? Cyclone from the Brewmaster as the Shackles arrives onto Luna. Nothing left in the tank, and GG is called. Sun Gaming go from leading 18-3 or whatever it was early on to losing out. Great performance from the Storm, great performance from the Brewmaster. But gotta say, Sun really did give up a lot in that game.
Oh yeah.
That key pivotal moment of Roshan being snuck by the Radiant team, playing around the Aegis incredibly well, but the Dire team just not playing around their Void and Sandking enough. You know, them even with that Aegis up, they're meant to be the ones pressuring tier 1s and tier 2s and playing forward. As soon as they felt that they were even in terms of team fight, they started, you know, hiding back inside their base. You know, they tried to turtle for some reason, which was kind of awkward. But you can also talk about potentially the itemization of the supports. Yeah, Blink 4-staff on the Sandking, no Lotus Orb, no Yules, nothing to get away from the Orchid of the Storm. 4-staff on the AA, no Yules, no Lotus Orb to get away from the Storm. So Storm's like, sick.
3 kills, right?
3 kills for me.
And yeah, I mean, the Bloodstone never really dropped below 12, I believe. So that was certainly a big factor for them to be able to just take advantage of these kind of positional errors, almost, that you can say Sun Gaming made. Having that mobility inside a team fight just forcing them to go for these suboptimal ultimates. Like it wasn't even just the Chronospheres. Even before that, there was this one attempt, this one fight in mid where they missed the epicenter, then they missed the eclipse, and then they also kind of missed the Chronosphere because Faces Void was, I think, got a few heroes, but he was all alone and didn't have the damage at the time. So that was the beginning of like the downfall, the downward spiral, perhaps you could say, for Sun Gaming, where they never really found these kind of team fights that they needed to, where the thing that they drafted for ceased being effective, right? And on the flip side, the BKB is also dropping lower and lower, so you don't have as much to throw against what IG Vitality has with not just the Storm Spirit, but also the Razor being tankier, just staying alive, doing some AoE damage. But also, we're talking about it, the Brewmaster coming into the zone. Once he hit level 20 with that extra 1500 health on the Splitlings, Broodlings, whatever you want to call them, he created a lot of chaos.
Like you look at the scores though, right? Razor 3-6, Brew 0-6, Dogfights on the Clockwork 4-10, Shadow Shaman 1-9. Storm Spirit did so much heavy lifting in the game; it was absolutely ridiculous. It just feels unfortunate that from such a great start, the Sun Gaming couldn't, find their way towards tier 3s and racks, but it really was on them. You know, you're saying that they didn't find the chronos, they missed out on some of their spells, but to like. What the trouble is, you see people on Reddit or in Twitch chat, wherever, flaming individual players about, oh, he missed that ability, or he didn't land that perfect chrono, or he didn't do this, didn't do that. It's about putting yourself in positions to do things that you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
By sitting back and kind of farming and waiting, not pressuring forward, not playing aggressively with your wombo combo, you are putting yourself into this self-fulfilling prophecy where you're destined to fail.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to find the aggression if you're playing passively. You won't be able to find those sick plays if you're sitting back and not really doing too much. It was just awkward all around from the 20-minute mark onwards.
Yeah, you need to be the ones controlling the pace of the game, right? That's the easiest way to do it is to put on pressure. And with that, you have more map control. You have more of an idea of where the enemy team is moving. And that makes it easier for you to just kind of shepherd them into a bit of a clump where you can find these better ultimates and where you have some time to think about how to position yourself and how to engage into these team fights.
Well,
but as I said, right, they didn't do that.
Game 3 coming up. 1-1. Let's see who's going to take this series. ESL One Genting Chinese qualifiers will continue in just a little bit as Sun Gaming and IG Vitality battle it out to try and find that spot to face VGJ Thunder in the next round. We've already had our little eHome team progress through to face IG tomorrow, but we'll take a short break now. Be back in a couple of minutes with game number 3.